I wanted to spend a bit of time talking about Kobo and about what we have seen selling books internationally, selling ebooks internationally. My name is Michael Tamblin. I head up content, sales, and merchandising for Kobo. And we have 15 minutes, which is no time at all, especially to talk about Kobo. We are a global ebook retailer. We also power retail solutions for other retailers who want to sell ebooks. We have about 2.2 million ebook titles that we make available around the world. We have relationships with about 2,300 publishers, and as was mentioned before, we power ebooks for Borders, the second largest book chain in the United States, Indigo, the largest book chain in Canada, Angus & Robertson and Whitcoulls, the two largest book chains in Australia and New Zealand. We are regularly in the top 3 free iBook apps for iTunes. So there's Apple in number 1, 34,000 employees, and Amazon in number 2, 24,000 employees, and then us with 150 employees. We're very happy about that. We were also the first bookstore, ebook store to provide books for BlackBerry. We were the first ebook store to provide ebooks for Android. We were the first ebook store to provide a cloud-based service. And so with Kobo, your books do follow you wherever you go as you move from iPhone to a BlackBerry to an Android phone or a Palm Pre phone, or to a tablet or an iPad, or to a desktop or a netbook, or to an e-ink device like our Kobo Reader. Your books follow you wherever you go, and you have the same library with you across all of your different devices. You can even move them to other devices that are not ours. We sell a lot of books to Sony Reader users, to Nooks and Coolers, and other e-ink devices. We have a DRM model that is tied to the user's account, so the user can move to their devices, but not to other people's. We are also built to partner. We are built to provide ebook solutions for other vendors. So we are the worldwide ebook partner for Samsung. We are powering ebooks for the Research in Motion Playbook, their new tablet that's coming out this year, and with many other hardware vendors as well. We are also selling e-readers and ebooks through Walmart, Canada, and the US. And then also Asus and HTC and HP and Acer through Foxconn and Pan Digital and others as well. By this time, I'd say by January of this year, Kobo will be loaded on about 10 million devices across tablets, smartphones, and dedicated readers. And we've started to learn more about who reads ebooks. We found that they are someone who reads more than people who buy paper books. They also buy more. The average ebook consumer that we see buys about twice as many books as someone who purchases in paper. Our most avid, most enthusiastic customers are literally buying a new book every day. So our top 10% of customers are buying about 30 books a month right now. This is also a very international business for us, for all kinds of reasons. But Kobo today sells ebooks in about 200 countries. And our top countries are the kinds of countries that you would expect. The US is number 1 for us, Canada, Australia, UK, New Zealand. We sell a lot of ebooks into India and to China today, into Singapore and Philippines and Indonesia. But the rest of those 200 countries are quite surprising to us. What we've found most interesting is how many different places people want to be able to read digitally, and the numbers have been truly surprising to us. And just to give a sense of how many different places people are reading ebooks today, I took 1 day of data from May of this year and looked at how many different countries we had delivered ebooks into. And so on that day, we sold into the US and Canada and China and Spain and Italy, but we also sold into Turkey and Venezuela and the Bahamas and Guatemala and El Salvador and Nicaragua and Ethiopia and Gabon and Vanuatu. We sold into 174, delivered ebooks into 174 countries in 1 day. which just gives a sense of how many different places people are wanting to read digitally. About 10% of our sales right now are into non-English markets. That amount is growing. And one of the reasons is that we have spent a lot of time and effort figuring out how to do territorial rights, how to make sure that we only sell a book into a country that the publisher has the rights for. So in all of those 174 countries, the person coming to the store was seeing a store that only had those books that were available to them. We figure out from their network address, from their credit card, where is it that they are, what are the books that we have available for that market, and we create a new store essentially in real time based on where they are. We do that around the world. We do that right now primarily with English language books, but there are new languages coming. So the next markets that we're starting to work on are Taiwan and Hong Kong. Here in Asia Pacific, we're also working in Germany and France, Spain and Italy. And these are places where we see great opportunities for a number of reasons, and across the full range of categories where we sell books. Certainly strong demand for fiction and nonfiction, but also for textbooks, science, technical, and medical references, reference works, also for children's books, also for graphic novels and manga. And especially everyone here in this room has a very good sense of why ebooks can do well internationally. It can be very hard to move books in different languages from place to place. There can be high import duties, it can be expensive to move books into a country. There can be poor retail selections in some countries. The Chinese language population in Toronto, where I'm from, has to deal with a very small selection of books available at retail. They would love to be able to get access to more Chinese language content, but are unable to. The same with French-speaking readers in other parts of the world. One of the reasons that we sell so many English books around the world is the difficulty in getting English language titles in somewhere like Africa or in Singapore, for example. So being able to provide a much wider range of titles than ever before is a huge advantage of ebooks for us. Weight restrictions, this is the difficulty of moving books from place to place. As a traveler, for example. Expatriate communities in different markets, and in the case of English, people that are interested in getting access to titles so that they can learn English as a second language, but the same for other languages as well. Large communities of people wanting to learn Chinese in other markets who just can't get access to Chinese language titles. We would love to be able to distribute them there. And so one of the things that I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about are some of the things that we are looking for when we are trying to sell books in multiple markets. One of the things that's very important for us is to get a sense of territorial rights from the publisher. If the publisher can tell us which countries they can sell into, we will absolutely sell that book into every country that we can. And we have people coming to us, as you've seen, from all over the world. If we know that you have the rights for a book in 5 countries, we will make it available in those 5 and nowhere else. So the more countries that we have rights for, the better. We do most of our work in the EPUB digital format. That allows us to move books from iPhones to iPads to Blackberries to Android phones and preserve both styling and format while providing a reflowable sort of text format. We love EPUB. We also do some work in PDF as well. But the more EPUB titles we have, the better that experience is from country to country. More than just having the rights themselves is having data from the publisher that clearly expresses those rights. So getting information in Onyx, the metadata file format is the best way for us to get information about which titles can be made available where, and also allows us to get pricing for multiple territories. So a single publisher with us, for example, can set one price for Taiwan, another for Hong Kong, a third for Singapore, a fourth for North America, and we will sell that same book in the correct price in the right currency in each of those markets. So we love to get accurate information from publishers that allows us to do that well. Just generally, we would like to have more publishers engaged with us. We have 2,300 now. We would love to have more. Every time we see that we bring more publishers on board, we're able to bring in another group of consumers who are looking to buy titles from those publishers. Our base of consumers gets better every time we bring more publishers in. And the same goes for having more titles. We treat this primarily as a book-selling challenge, more than a technical challenge. Even though we have 150 people and most of them are software developers working across iPhone and iPad and Android and e-reading devices, we still look at this as if we were a bookseller. And to a bookseller, by far the most important thing is selection. Our ability to have thousands and thousands of titles in a particular language, in a particular country, is what brings people to us, is what makes consumers feel like this is an experience that they want to spend time in. And so everything that we can do with publishers in a particular market to create that critical mass of titles, we try to do. We are, for example, one of the retailers who provides conversion services for and makes conversion resources available to the publishers that we work with. So if all that a publisher has is PDF files or InDesign files or Quark Express files, we will work with them to turn those titles into EPUBs so that they can be sold around the world. And we are also, I think, the only retailer who actually gives the EPUB file back to the publisher when we are done, so that that publisher then has an EPUB file that they can give to other retailers as well. We would much rather have the publisher providing us with titles more quickly, building the market faster, creating opportunity for more sales more quickly, than to try and create an exclusive relationship. We're doing that conversion in traditional Chinese with Hong Kong publishers right now. We would love to start working with Taiwan publishers as well. Thank you very much.
So I see the real threat to Amazon is not Apple, but Kobo.
I would like to think so.
All right. But you do have one key point in one previous slide in which you give back the EPUB file back to the publisher.
Correct.
Which currently in the market, that doesn't happen.
That's right.
So I think you will have a flock of Taiwanese publishers visiting you. All right?